Internet friend, it's me, Bradley G, here in friendly Minnesota. Welcome to Synergy Cafe. We're having another episode. This is actually going to be a series or a spectrum of conversations. We're going to do about 9 different things on Full Spectrum Fridays, and we're doing that because of Full Spectrum coach and consultant, and he's in the green room, and his name is John Armstrong. Let's go find him. Where is he? There he is. Hi.
You make it fun. You make it so fun. This is great.
You gotta have fun. Otherwise, some people say if it ain't fun, don't do it. So you might as well have a good time. So are you having a good time here? It's a funky Friday. It's noonish.
Absolutely. Yep. Great spirits today. Good to be here.
Future ones are going to be at 4 o'clock, correct? We're going to do this series.
That's right. We're set for 4 o'clock in the future, but we got to get this one in today.
You got to get this one in because you're going to a family reunion, you said in the green room the other day.
It is a fabulous reunion. It is a 40th year high school soccer state championship reunion. So I haven't seen some of these guys for 40 years. We won the state soccer championship. I don't know, what were we, 14, 15, 16, 17 years old. So
that'll be fun, I think.
So I'm in great spirits. It's fun reconnecting with, and it connects, that was a journey. We took an incredible journey together over several years. Some of us have been playing soccer together since 5th grade. So it was just really wonderful to go through that chapter of our lives together.
I was just looking at your little graphic here. This is the phases of a coaching journey.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to talk about today. I was reading through your different phases here and trying to make some sense out of them. And I figure it's easier to know more about it if you talk to the guy that kind of set it up, and I can understand more. So the first one is about questions or question.
Well, I want to give credit to where credit is due. I'm extrapolating Joseph Campbell's work, and I'm really blessed to be working with the Hero's Journey blueprint here. That's Joseph Campbell's work. And how this is kind of a blueprint, and use it as a blueprint for the coaching phases. So yeah, you want to hold that up again, the coaching phases there?
Certainly.
Yeah. So the 9 phases of the coaching journey is a blueprint for the hero's journey. And so we'll be talking today about the quest, the call, the question, phase 1, as we leave the ordinary world, so to speak.
Is that something like someone's having some issues and they don't feel they can figure them out, so they end up talking with someone like you and they have a question? Is a question sort of from the word of quest? Is it?
Yes, let's go with that. Let's go. This is still kind of in the working stages here of this, how this relates. And so the quest, the question, the call, that is, when we begin, so to speak.
Yeah, because like when you're first starting out with something, you say that like the calling. I know that I've gone through some stuff, like my background in entertainment and then in the event industry. And now that I'm older, I feel there's more of a calling for me rather than, hooking up event planners with event suppliers. It seems like there's a bigger quest for me. Mm-hmm. Is that what we're getting at here with?
Yeah, so I like that you said, if there's something bigger, because I think the quests or the callings, the questions can be big or they can be really small. They could be a career synthesis or career change, a relationship change. They could also be something really small and simple. In fact, today I witnessed one. I was doing some coaching with a pair of business owners, and we're looking at their organization, and we're talking about some marketing things. And as I was speaking to some topic, one of them just went, "Oh my gosh, we can totally look at this differently about a sale that they lost." And he got really excited about reaching out and doing some kind of pro bono offer to a sale that they had lost. And he lit up, and he had so many ideas about this. Well, his business partner kind of approached it differently. He kind of got into phase 2 right away, which is, well, we can't do that. We lost the sale. And I suggested to them, well, let's stay more in the calling right now. Let's stay more in the excitement that you are really excited about how you could approach this differently, whether it's this client now or one in the future. He got really inspired and called into a new way to operate his sales. And I think these little callings, these little inspirations happen to us all day long. And whether we shut them down ourselves or somebody around us starts to shut them down, it was helpful that they both could see what was happening in that moment, that one was being the naysayer, one was being really excited. And I said, well, why don't we just give this some time to play out and look at a couple of ways you could reach out to this exact client that you think you lost the sale on. Now, that's not a huge calling. It's not like a life-changing career, but I think we have a spectrum between small callings, these small inspirations, and very large epic ones. And they're both equally valuable.
Well, I've heard the phrase, don't sweat the small stuff, it's all small stuff. And maybe losing a sale might be a blessing in disguise because all of a sudden it gets you thinking differently. And you know what? Maybe the boss says, we lost the sale. Everybody take the day off. And they just go out golfing or something. And then they come up with this new idea or maybe bump into somebody that stimulates 3 or 5 different sales just from looking at something from a different perspective. Going back to the question, I've got a friend that now lives in Costa Rica, used to be in Florida, and he's got a deck that's called question cards. And they're sort of like affirmations, but they're not. They are questions. Instead of saying, I am healthy, it asks the question, why am I healthy? So that makes the brain start going, why am I healthy? I'm drinking and smoking, and maybe I should quit drinking and smoking, and then I would be healthy. So it makes your brain think differently when you ask a question.
Yeah, I've heard this phrase. I don't know where I heard it, but the phrase is questions that take you somewhere.
Yeah.
And, maybe that's just, we talk about the potency of a question. Questions might not have a lot of potency. They may not really engage us very deeply, or maybe they do, and we could travel with them.
Well, sometimes big solutions are really simple. I'll do a quick little story. When I was out of high school, I was doing some drafting. I was doing printed circuit boards, and I was working at a company called Control Data that was over in Arden Hills here. And there was a printed circuit board. When you put it in like this, it worked fine. But if you put it in like this, it short-circuited the computer. They wanted me to create a procedure manual of how to insert the board. Instead, I said, why don't you make this screw on the right a little bit longer than the one on the left? And now when you put it in there, you can't put it in this way because the screw hits. So all it was changing a part number from a 003 to a 004, making the screw a little bit longer, and changing the parts list in the blueprint. And it took me 30 seconds. But did I get compensated for saving millions of dollars of computers? So sometimes,
I love that.
If you ask the right questions, like why are we doing a big long procedure manual for this? Why don't we just? You never know when an idea is coming in. So I think that's the pillar number 1. I think that's pretty important to ask those questions. Why are you going on this quest?
Yeah. I like to play both ends of that. I like SMART goals that are really specific. I do like policies, and I like procedures, and I like training modules and manuals. I love the details. And I also know that I can get lost and bogged down and not move anywhere if I'm only looking at that stuff. So being open to what could be inspiring, calling, unplanned, both of these are practices, spectrum of
that's kind of what I think is kind of cool about you and your business right here. Full spectrum, the full spectrum of because the little details might be part of it, but maybe you want to get into more broad stuff. So you're sort of taking on the full spectrum. Is that kind of how you work with your clients too, looking at the little teeny things and the big list of things?
Yeah, what's evolved for me here, I describe myself as a holistic business coach. So I really have a lot of passion for human development in addition to the business development. So we work with the whole person, the physical, mental, emotional, energetic, spiritual whole person before we get into the whole business systems. And yeah, I love the planning and development of goals and the improvisation and just kind of seeing what's organically developing that we didn't plan for, that we can show up for.
Yeah, I can see how someone might start a business because they think that it's a good business, and then instead of you running your business is running you, and you wonder, why the hell did I start this business? Maybe you want
Yeah.
to sell, or maybe
Okay.
change the model or something.
Yeah. So that describes me in a way. I had no business school. I didn't start business school until maybe 10 plus years into running my company.
Hmm.
Um, but I run into a fair amount of clients who have a lot of passion for their craft. They're good at their craft, they're good at relationships, but not necessarily business systems, business education, or business development. So I like working with that human being that wants to just start a business. They're an entrepreneur at heart, and we can build some business systems from that.
Well, I think sometimes that's a good thing that you're not pre-programmed by some college business teacher that might not even know how to run a business. So, like, I knew this kid in high school. He was in construction, and so he was working with, you know, for as an employee. And then all of a sudden, he realized that I could build these things myself. All I got to do is get John. He's really good at concrete, and go get Steve over there. He knows all the HVAC stuff. And why don't we just build these things ourselves and sell them? So he doesn't know
Mhm.
nothing about business. He just understands. I know how to build a house. I build it and
Yeah,
I just sell it. Then you end up having a construction company.
yeah. I
So
had I had a question about being, what is my career going to be? This is some 30 years ago. My gosh, actually 40, almost 40 years ago. And I didn't know what my calling was. And so actually one of my neighbors was the lead striker on our soccer team. So a shout out to Steve Vidrick here. Look forward to seeing him this weekend. Steve was really clear on his calling. He wanted to go into aviation. So I'll follow up this weekend and see what he did with that. But I didn't have a calling. So what I did was I just relied on, I used his passion. I said, well, why don't I look into aviation? And I thought, well, if I'm not really committed to this, I'll just start as a mechanic. So that way I can get a degree, get some skills, but I don't, invest twice as many years or twice as many money as investment. So after 2 years in, I realized this isn't my calling. I was actually introduced to Joseph Campbell in the aviation mechanics school by one of the professors. A shout out to Steve Dawson, one of my mentors and great teachers. So he introduced me to Joseph Campbell, and that kind of led me into, oh, I'm really passionate about human development and the evolution of our species. So I realized I could bow out of that exploration, and at that point, I took some time to figure out what is the hero's journey, and kind of fast forwarding when I looked at my uh, calling to be a small business owner, I thought, well, let's just test this out again. If I'm really serious, I'll be doing this for decades. So I went and worked for somebody else for a year to decide if I'm going to own and operate and develop a house painting company. And then within that year, that calling only got stronger, deeper. I still had challenges, I still had resistance, but the calling matured during that 1 year. So it was allowing me to see, yes, this is going to be a long-term venture, which it was for 2.5 decades. So a kind of examples of callings that take us a little ways, and a calling that takes us a long ways.
that's kind of interesting looking at it as um, looking at I call it entrepreneurial ADD. of looking at those different distractions as callings. Because my best friend that I've known since I was 4, we started doing magic when we were little kids, and
Yes.
he stuck with it. He stuck with it, and he knew he wanted to work trade shows, and that's what he did. I went off and I started making jewelry, and I tried to create other businesses and did some event stuff, and I went all over the place. But if I look at those little things as callings, that this is okay, I'm really passionate about this. I'll do it for a while, and then you kind of stay in the lane. And I think, again, it was probably someone like you that can kind of keep a person in the lane. Are you sure you want to diversify this much and have it all diffused, and or do you want to get in that lane and ride that horse for a while?
Yeah, I think as you're sharing that, I know that we have to be mindful of self-criticism or criticizing others around the attention to a focus. And, like you're saying, you dabble in something for a little while, and then we could sometimes culturally judge that person for not making something of it or not doing something about it. And I want to connect that to what I've been noticing over the years, that I think a calling kind of comes, or an entrepreneur calling kind of emerges in 3 different ways from what I'm observing. And the simple one is just there's a synthesis of talents. And you talked about jewelry, events, the craft of magic. There's kind of a synthesizing of gifts and talents that as we mature over time, we kind of see these job descriptions or these gifts, and we can bring them into a synthesis into one. And that one becomes an entrepreneur path. The other things I've noticed are 2 other ways that we can connect to the calling. One is that it's almost a download. People notice it just come right down through their head, right into their body, and they're called to go do something. What was I just like? I just heard that Steve Bon Jovi, is that how you say his name? Was the Bon Jovi?
Bon Jovi, yeah.
Yeah. He had a calling to just go learn our martial arts. And so he completely moved, just took a suitcase, and there's a way we're just called to go do something. And the third iteration I've seen in this is it comes out of us. It's emerging out of it. We have to do this. Expressing this, manifesting this is a creative work of art. And it's emerging out from a center within us. So these 3 different kind of, I'm not sure what to call them, how to describe their different, but that's what I'm noticing callings emerging from.
So on that note, how I want to talk a little more about this question concept, and then I want to talk about your Portugal adventure.
Oh, okay, yep.
Goal. But on that thing, what happens? Like I got this entrepreneurial ADD. I got ideas. I got a thing called the Peace Police. I got another thing called the Piece of Art. This art contest. What if you want to do this because you feel called through the calling, but you can't figure out where the money's going to come from? Where would you guide someone on something like that?
Yeah, how it comes up so quickly, the money. Well, I'd probably really slow it down and not get into the money right away. I would start talking about resistances first, because the second phase of the coaching journey or the hero's journey is, what are the resistances that come up? And that resistance might be making money. And I would talk more about resistances and what I like to phrase out as favorite flavor of resistance, because everybody has different flavors of how they kind of acclimate to the next calling. So some person might look a lot at, money is their first go-to. I can't do something because of money. Somebody else might do, I can't do something because of time. Somebody else might, I can't do something because of talent. I don't know how to do that. So everybody else is going to have a different set of favorite flavors of resistance.
Okay, when you say resistance, are you talking about the next? It's an interesting segue. It's into the next group we're going to be talking about. Is it refusal?
Correct. Refusal, reluctance, resistance.
Here's-
Hans Solo is our great example of that. Hans Solo was resisting his leadership, his hero ship.
Okay, here's that graphic again. So there it
Yeah.
is. The refusal part is number 2. So we'll be
Yeah,
talking about that next Friday at 4 o'clock.
correct. So
But-
we don't, so to answer your question, we don't just jump into a strategy that's going to resolve the issue about money. We're going to slow it down and figure out if money is somebody's go-to resistance pattern.
Sure, it might end up being just a project of passion, and then someday you find some philanthropic billionaire that says, I like what you're doing, here's a salary.
Mm-hmm. It could be that. It could also be that that person values their passion so much that they actually charge 2 or 3 times more than they would think they would charge. And they become that philanthropic millionaire themselves.
Got it. Well, let's talk about your retreat. This is
talk about Portugal, sure.
yes. So the information for Portugal is on this webpage right here, mysynergyretreats.com. And you're going to Portugal and taking some friends with you in January, is it?
That's right. We're doing the epic adventure quest is what we're calling this. Transform yourself through travel. We are going to do the hero's journey physically. We're going to leave our ordinary lives, our work and our families and community. We're going to go across the globe and we're going to take and we're going to do an inner quest while on an outer journey is what essentially the program is. So there's some professional coaching on the hero's journey and what each individual person brings to this journey. What's their individual quest of who they want to become, what they want to evolve into, who is the hero that they want to become in their life for their next chapter.
Okay. And I know that my common name for these types of excursions is retreats, yoga retreats and health and wellness retreats, but you're calling it an adventure quest, which is kind of cool because retreat is kind of like, I'm getting out of here. But you're actually going on an adventure.
Yeah, we're headed towards the outcome. The hero's journey is that there's a manifestation of a next iteration of ourself, the next iteration of a business. And so we're actually going into the transformation process. Now, some people have called it a moving retreat because we will do things like we'll have some consulting classes, we'll do some meditations, we'll do some nature hikes. I love singing, so we're going to be doing some sounding and singing. So there's going to be a lot that you'd experience on a retreat. But in addition to being still, gathering in ourselves, getting centered, we're also going to be inviting each other to take risks, to explore what are new options for ourselves and our businesses.
Okay. Well, I got a little video that I had prepared, so I'm going to play that right now just for the heck of it. And
That's exciting. Didn't see this coming. Way to go, Brad. Yay.
Realize that I did it. I'm not sure how it's going to frame in here, but just be patient and stand by. Here it goes.
Well, that's just fabulous. Well done, Brad.
So that just had some stuff that happens in Portugal. And my friend Brian Alexander, we saw him on Facebook because he lived there for a little while in Portugal.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool how this internet thing works and starts connecting people with things just when there's common words and stuff. It's kind of intriguing. It's frustrating and fascinating at the same time.
Brad, can I bring in something I didn't plan on doing also?
Sure.
We talked about the question, and I want to read something, a quote from Rainier Marie Wilkie about living questions.
Okay.
All right. So this is I'm not sure the date on this one, but Rilke says, be patient towards all that is unsolved in your heart and try to love the questions themselves. Like locked rooms and locked books that are now written in a very foreign tongue. Do not try to seek the answers which cannot be given you because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps you will then gradually, without noticing, live along some distant day into the answer. How about that? That's Rainier Marie Wilkie. It's from his book, A Poet, Letters to a Young Poet. And actually, I probably read that back in high school, so I think it's fitting to read that here.
Well, there you go. You should bring it with you for your little week.
There you go. All right, I'll do that. Brad, these are fabulous. I really appreciate you inviting me into this. Excited to support, everybody finding their inner hero. I think this is a concept Matthew McConaughey's been talking about is, who is the hero we want to become? And I think that changes and grows over time. And so I'm excited to be offering an opportunity for folks to think about who is the next hero in themselves that they want to become.
Well, very good. If you got some extra time, John, why don't you stick around, but I'm going to put you into the green room and you can enjoy some of those digital low-cal hors d'oeuvres we've got back there.
All right. Talk to you again soon. Thank you so much.
See you in a week. Okay, peace.
Bye-bye.
There you go. That was my friend John, and he is a member of the Synergy Collaborative. It's right here. Dun, 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 dun. And that's why we do this stuff, to collaborate. 1 + 1 = 11 in this world. So if you want to find more about John, you can go to his website. This is real small because it's a long domain, but you can remember it by Full Spectrum Coaching and Consulting.com. That's Full Spectrum Coaching and Consulting.com. And you've been on Synergy Cafe. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be good, be kind, be nice. Did I say be nice? I did. So be nice. See you.